All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I am, of course, Sid the Nerdy Mark, and of course, this is right here is my friend Mosh. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Doing good.
Yeah. So today we're gonna talk. I think I came prepared. This is like the one Star Wars shirt that I own, but we are talking about just having a little discussion about the book of Boba Fett that just wrapped up this last Wednesday. Um, but before we get into that proper, Mosh, like, what did you think about before this, the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2? Like, quick thoughts on that first, because this is like a kind of a spin-off of those shows.
Yeah, you have to have seen those shows to watch Boba Fett show.
Mhm.
They connect them. Of course, it's Star Wars. And when we get into the review, we will go into like how they connect and how they move forward.
Yeah.
But you have to have watched Mandalorian 1 and 2 to really
Yeah.
enjoy this. And I know some people may not watch beforehand and just go straight into it if they want to, but just like everything today, it's all connected universes and what have you, and continuation.
Mhm.
So, Mando 1 and 2, amazing. Some of the best shows I've seen, and it's a good precursor to this one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sorry. Um, yeah, I gotta agree. Like, I think Mando seasons 1 and 2, they were really good, and like the action was just fantastic, and making us actually care about this character Din Djarin and his relationship with the foundling or Grogu. That was all great. For seeing stuff like the dark saber from the expanded universe, like more and more stuff they're bringing. Disney's starting to bring more and more things from the expanded universe and making it canon,
yeah,
even though they said in the beginning that nothing is canon in the expanded universe. Like, and then they retrace their steps, like, oh wait, maybe we should bring these things in here because that makes more sense. But yeah, like at the end of the Mandalorian season 2, we did see Boba Fett killing Bib Fortuna and taking his place as the daimyo of
yep.
Tatooine. Tatooine or Naboo?
Tatooine.
Tatooine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I kind of
and
forgot.
speaking of Tatooine, I had thoughts on just that itself.
Mhm.
Like the show makes me because it's so well done in Star Wars, and not just like the newest Star Wars, but from the
Mhm.
very beginning of Star Wars. The very first movie, I'm sure everyone is aware, the it starts in Tatooine. Luke, the two sons, uh, arguably the most important location in all of Star Wars. Or that's a debatable fun
Definitely,
topic, but
definitely a lot of the main plot points
it
happen there.
it
Yes.
connects plot and most of the major characters, like, or many of them, including the Skywalkers, and then the Han Solos and Obi-Wan's. They all somehow connect to it, and
Yes.
this they they move forward. If you watch the original, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of Jedi, and then if you were to just start from there and go into Mando and this, it goes perfectly into that timeline. So I love it.
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, Tatooine was cool. Was a interest good way to place to set the base location for this whole show. But I also think that it was cool that they showed like the history of Tatooine. I think that
Yeah.
was pretty cool. But I mean, the show Boba Fett itself. Like, what did you like think about the show itself? Like, before we get into like plot details.
Before plot details, good show. Funny enough, the internet is kind of like up and down or something, or divided.
Mhm.
I I understand where some people's gripes come from, in terms of what they want to see in the show. Uh, it's a good show. I will say it's a slow start. It's a slow
Yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
And it's not until towards the end, later episodes, where it really kicks off. Um,
Mhm.
you could say the show changes a bit much, in terms of the focus and the characters and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
And
it does. It
and
does.
it and I don't know if we got into spoiler warning, but it shifts so suddenly in its tone and the focus that you could almost forget that it's the Book of Boba Fett. It becomes
Yeah.
Mandalorian season 2.5 or whatever.
But
So
yeah, you know what? I was okay. This is so crazy. As I was preparing to start recording, I was about to say I was going to be like, yeah, this felt like Mandalorian season 2.5.
it
Yeah,
is.
but that is true because, like, yeah, I think and I think this is the general consensus of everybody. But the fact of the matter is that the episodes in Boba Fett that were the best were the ones that didn't feature him heavily.
Mhm.
That is, which is interesting, which is like kind of a double-edged sword because it's like, yeah, it was great, it was awesome to see Mando and Grogu and Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka and all the characters in the Mandalorian universe, the mechanic that he goes to, all those things. But the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is, this is the Book of Boba Fett, not Book of Din Djarin. So it's like, well, so are you? So what are you trying to say to me? You're trying to say to me that because from what I'm the vibes that I'm getting is Mandalorian is a much more interesting character than Boba Fett. And the thing is, Boba Fett, he in the original Star Wars movies, he was only in the fifth and sixth movies.
Yep.
He probably had a total of like maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and that's just me being generous, actually, as far as like runtime. And then I like the fact that definitely they expanded on him a little bit in Attack of the Clones, but then
Yep.
after that, like he became that he was Jango Fett's clone, and Jango Fett wanted a son,
Mhm.
and whatnot. And then of course in Clone Wars, he has a pretty decent role in there, and we'll talk about another one of those characters that is associated with Boba Fett in a bit.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see that. I actually started watching Clone Wars again. I'm on season 4 now. It's getting a little darker as we go. This is like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, but no, I don't want to deviate from there. Um, no, but I think with Book of Boba Fett, like the first four, like when I first saw that they announced it, I was like, oh, this is cool. I mean, I can't wait because Boba Fett in the Mandalorian season 2 was a
It was
badass, and I
awesome.
loved him. He was fantastic. So like
Yeah.
some of his fight scenes alongside Mando and Fennec Shan were amazing. And then he goes off to have his own show. I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then it happened, and I'm like, the first episode was like really slow, and I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. And then episode 2 picked up a little bit with the train scene, which was cool.
Yeah.
But then 3 and 4, like I don't know, it just went back to the slow pace again. Because the fact of the matter is, his flashbacks were a little bit more interesting than like him in present day,
Yeah.
which kind of it kind of sucks because it's like, oh, he was cool back then and now he's just boring. Is that what you're telling me? You know? Um, but no, like I think it had a lot of potential for sure. Like Tamora Morrison did what he did best. He did a good job. I mean, Ming Na Wen as Fennec Shan, she did a great job. But I mean, the pacing of the show, man, oh my god, it was yeah. Until the last 3 episodes, I was like, okay, wait, let's pick up the pace a little bit. So
You
yeah.
know, so with pacing, a lot of times shows that start out slow end up pretty fast and
Mhm.
go, you could say Fast and Furious or whatever, but
Right.
um I have not a problem with the slow pacing in the beginning, because they're doing essentially the story of, and we can go into spoilers now if you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, they get into the story that picks off from the Mandalorian season 2, which you pretty much have to have seen. And I imagine if you're a Star Wars fan, you've seen it all,
Yeah.
perhaps like movies and Mandalorian. I don't imagine anyone watching Boba Fett without having seen the first 2 seasons of Mando. So picking right off, and it at the beginning where it shows him surviving to the Sarlacc pit from the Return of the Jedi is amazing. Um, and it's kind of fan fiction come to life. Um, but I will give Star Wars, I will give Disney and the producers credit. They actually totally listened to their fans because the fans actually kind of brought Boba Fett back to life because back in the 80s, 80, 83 when Return came out, I doubt Lucas had planned to bring Boba Fett back or something. He was
No,
just
I don't think so.
he was probably dead after, spoiler alert, when
Yeah,
that
man.
happened. But after years, and the fans like, whoa, he's awesome. Why would you do that? And then all the changes they made and going back and forth in the story or whatever. But
Yeah. I think no,
I
I
give
think that came.
props.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. No,
I
I
give
think that
props
came.
to them to listen to their fans, to listen to
Mhm.
their, because the arguably most passionate fan base in all of fiction, in all of the world.
One of them, yeah.
To me, it's like the most is Star Wars.
Yeah.
But they wanted him back. They brought him, and then they showed this. They showed him right where his death in was supposed to happen in Return of
Mhm.
Jedi, and then they just pick it up. And the storyline that for him the flashbacks was completely what it should have been. Like, it makes sense. He
Yeah.
survived. How did he get back the armor? All of it mentioned. I think they did an excellent job there.
I like the one part was like when he got to forge his own like little Tusken Raider stick.
Yeah.
I think that was cool. It's just very, very reminiscent to like the Jedi forging their lightsaber. So like, I mean, except it's not in a Jedi temple; it's like in like a little workshop. So they just go and they just carve out a piece of wood. But Jedi use the Force and do all this cool stuff, and there you go, you have a lightsaber. But um, what? Oh god, I lost my train of thought. No, I think with oh no, yeah, with Boba Fett, yeah, I think a lot of that came the fan support because he was featured a lot in some of the video games afterwards. He was featured in Battlefront 2. He
Yeah.
was in then yeah, that one, and then few other video games which I forget. I'm sure he was in Lego Star Wars. But other than that, there were some other Star Wars games that he was featured in, which I didn't play. But also there were like books, like actual like just books
Mm.
in the expanded canon in which Boba Fett has like his own kind of adventures. He's there. I believe Boba Fett also had a series of comics, which I don't know if they were printed by Marvel or Image because both of them had the rights to the IP. And so like a lot of that happened, and then oh yeah, and then Marvel printed a whole like 5 series issue of Darth Vader, in which Boba Fett and another character that's in here, the big Wookiee Chrysanthemum is in this one. They both were known to be like partners and guns for hire, and so all this put together, they're like, why the hell did we kill off Boba Fett? So they're like, all right, fine. Lo and behold, he's back. He didn't die. He was here all this time. But no, I think that with as far as passionate fan bases, first of all, you should
Mhm.
see wrestling fans. They're they can get.
Pretty crazy.
Oh yeah, oh my god. Anyway, so
So real
yeah.
quick, so on top of bringing back a fan favorite and making a whole storyline and canon
Mhm.
shows that fans are happy about, I want to give huge props to John Favreau, who's
Mhm.
basically been directing a lot of them and producing a lot of them. Robert Rodriguez is involved
Yeah.
as well. Some
Dave Filoni. Yeah.
Dave Filoni. Some fans are not as too excited about Robert Rodriguez's whatever choices, but um, I just want to say, like, these guys are OG Star Wars fans, and if you, on a side note, Favreau, the director of Iron Man and all that, and in MCU, he said
He's happy in
his
Marvel.
first gig was a movie attendant in the theater when Return of the Jedi came out. Like, that was his beginning introduction to the movie world or whatever, and
Oh,
it inspired him to go into movies and directing and acting. So
that's
I'm so
crazy.
happy that they brought this vision of like the appropriate storyline of the original Star Wars to life today in like
Hmm.
30 plus years in the future, which is like amazing accomplishment. So
Yeah,
kudos to
that's
them.
awesome. That I actually did not know that. That's so cool that like everything came full circle. That he's like a big, he's a major player in the new Star Wars in the upcoming Star Wars content that's happening. So one thing I wanted to backtrack is like you talked about how a lot of stuff like you had to watch before you watch Boba Fett. Like
Yeah.
obviously the Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. Now with other shows like the animated shows like Clone Wars, Rebels. well, not so much Bad Batch, but Clone Wars and Rebels and some of the other shows. It's does you don't necessarily have to watch them, but if you did, you are definitely rewarded handsomely. Like in Mandalorian
Yeah.
seasons 1 and 2, we saw the dark saber, which was there in the Clone Wars, and then we saw obviously here. I guess I'll go ahead and talk about it now. Cad
Yeah.
Bane shows up in this in the last two
Yeah.
episodes of Book of Boba Fett, and obviously he's a lot more older and more grizzly, Cad Bane, but it was still interesting to see him. Like it's weird. Cad Bane, my relationship with Cad Bane is like I think he's such a badass, but he's also like very much a nuisance for the Jedi, and I just wish they would just get him, but they never did. So and it's
Wow.
because
If he
yeah,
could beat Jedi or fight them and walk away, he's a beast.
yeah, he definitely knows a thing or two about Jedi. And the thing is, they don't really explicitly say it, but they do kind of hint at it that Boba Fett was mentored by Cad Bane. I mean, obviously they talk about it in the Clone Wars series, but they don't talk about it much here. But Cad Bane was a very interesting character that they brought back, and I guess we'll see. I mean, we'll talk about what happens to him a little later, but um, I think like as far as performances, like I said, I hinted at it, but I did like Tamora Morrison. I mean, he was like
Mm,
since Attack of the Clones, he's been that character, Django slash Boba. Um,
that's
so it was
amazing.
good. I think he was. It wasn't very hard for him to get back into that. Again, Fennec Shan, she's like the Cara Dune for Boba Fett as he was. But by the way, I
He's
miss
awesome.
Cara Dune. I really miss her. She's one of my favorite characters, and I know why Gina Carano got fired, which in my opinion I think is kind of stupid. But we'll talk about that later. But um, I think that it was cool that he has like his own kind of person that he can, trust as like his right wing, as his right, as his wing man slash wing woman,
I got you.
um, and or right hand man, right hand woman, whatever. That's what I meant to say. That's why I said right wing. Anyway,
She's
sorry.
awesome,
Yeah,
and I know
she
you like the
is.
Rebel, but she is your right hand person that you need to if you want to be a successful daimyo or a crime boss or what have you
Hmm.
in Tatooine. And this is post Jabba the Hutt, post Return of the Jedi. So this is like the wild wild west of Star Wars. It's literally
It
what it is.
is.
And
It
not to
is.
mention it's a desert planet, so it's a great setting. But it's totally the wild wild west. They captured it amazingly well. He she
Oh yeah, the sets, man. Those look
he
great.
there's politics involved. There's
Mhm.
there's all these different characters. There's like a mayor and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
there's other characters too. We'll get into it. But they expanded it pretty well. But they the fact that they brought everyone or a lot of fan recognizable characters like starting with Boba, but then going into Cad Bane and other Clone War related characters is awesome.
Mhm.
Um, the theme and the tone was totally Wild West, totally Western. I
Yeah.
dig that, and
That was
uh,
yeah.
I haven't seen Clone Wars really. I've only saw a couple episodes, but I never actually like watched it through or something. I probably will
Okay.
one of these days. But I see how there's a lot of background, a lot of history
Hmm.
with these expanded characters, so that'll be interesting. But I love the Wild West aspect.
For sure. One quick note, I will let you know if you do choose to watch Clone Wars. Um, the thing is, the episodes for some reason they did not come out in chronological order,
Hmm.
which is weird, but whatever. Like I think technically the pilot episode, the first episode chronologically is like in season 2. So you kind of have to,
Ah,
you're going to be doing a lot of back and forth. So if you go either on starwars.com or if you just type in Star Wars, Clone Wars chronological order, it should be like the first link that you see. just kind of look at that and watch the episodes in that order so that it makes a little bit more sense, because you'll be wondering why some characters are dead here, but then they're alive later in later seasons. So definitely, try to just do that. Okay. Try to like watch it in that chronological
Yeah.
order. But yeah, I do love like you said, the sets, they look amazing. Whether it was the, deserts of Tatooine, or even the planet that Grogu and Luke were training in. All of them just looked, and the contrast between the two sets was so really really nice. And like the use of color, like they definitely use a different color for Boba Fett, and then when it's the scenes with the Mandalorian with Mando, they use the different kind of a color scheme,
Yeah.
which is kind of I just realized that, and it was really really it was very a good kind of thought on the filmmakers part there. So I think also they do go into a little bit of a history of the Tatooine, and they say that Tatooine actually
Yep.
was filled with green. It wasn't always a barren desert like it is
It was
now.
like an ocean. Yeah.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was an oasis, and
Like
then I
ocean.
think after the Huts took it over, everything just
Yeah.
hit the fan.
And so
So yeah.
one more thing, the one of the plot points about the spice running that the
Mhm.
bad guys do,
Yeah,
the syndicate people,
the Pike
um,
Syndicate. Yes.
the syndicate that becomes the main antagonist, and that's cool how they moved that forward. What's funny is that's totally from Dune, like the
It
movie
is.
and the books. Like that's all the Dune is about. It's a sand desert planet, and all they care about is warring tribes getting or families trying to get control of this spice thing.
I
And
think.
here they call it
Yeah.
the spice, and I'm like, bro, that's I get it. It maybe not exactly the same, but it's so much sounding
Mhm.
like Dune that it sounds like it's directly
Yeah.
related.
No, that I see where you're coming from, but I don't know like exactly the role of spice in Dune, but I know that spice here is, from what I see, it's more like drugs. It's more like,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if it's the same over there, or if it's like a spice is like a form of currency over there, but maybe
Yeah.
that's what that is. But like yeah, so that's the main difference between spice and Dune and spice in the Star Wars universe. I guess I need to go. I'm sorry. Like, okay, I
Have
heard
you
Dune was
watched
a really
Dune?
good. I heard
You
it
haven't
was a really
seen
good
Dune, right?
movie. Huh?
Have you seen Dune?
I watched like the first 30 minutes and I turned it off. I was like, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It
It's okay.
went a
It's okay.
little slow for me. It was a little slow for me, but I'll try to watch it again for
Dude,
sure.
if you can't
Um,
appreciate the little slow moments, it's hard to appreciate cinema these days
I know.
as what's
It's like, I don't
as
know. No, I just feel like that's Oscar baiting. I'm sorry, but that just feels like Oscar baiting to me.
Oscar
Like,
bait.
like, oh, we got look at this slow paced movie, and you must take the time to take in the breathtaking imagery. I'm like, okay, great. Can we
Hey
move with
man,
the story?
sorry we can't all be Marvel and action and
Yeah,
comedy every minute.
I agree.
That's just
True,
that's just
true.
what's selling today. That's not how movies started out at all.
Yeah, it's not even so much that they're selling. That's the type of movies that are getting nominated for Oscars. That's more what it is. Like Tomorrow I'm Doing is going to get nominated for Oscar, because I'll tell you this: cinematography, fantastic. I love
The
the
best,
cinematography.
incredible.
Yeah, and then yeah, because yeah, I know Denis Villeneuve. He did like Drive and Only God Forgives, and he's very good with like imagery. Also, Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah,
Um, he does the imagery. He's amazing at that. But like I just wanted the story to move forward. But I will give it another chance for sure at some point. I'll definitely watch it. I'm not gonna be like, oh no, screw this, I'm not watching this movie again. No.
dude,
But anyway,
I saw that 2.5 hour movie in IMAX theater all the way, and
damn.
if I can do that, you can watch it at home at your own
Mm,
time, easy peasy.
I will. Like I said, I will definitely try to watch it again.
Yeah.
Um, so what else is there? I think a lot of the
I real
yeah.
quick, I liked this is the most Tusken Raiders time I've ever spent in any Star
Yeah.
Wars property. And they I like how when characters that at first are just like they're bad, they're monsters, they're bad.
hmm
You only think like that because that's how they were portrayed in many times before. They make you look at the Tusken Raiders entirely different and
Yeah.
the Sand People, and I really appreciate that because no other Star Wars movie has done that. To my knowledge, Um,
No, no.
you spend a lot of time. You learn about their customs. You learn they survive by digging the water out of the sand or something. Um,
Yeah.
sure, they seem like savages or whatever because they are not as like civilized or like a lot of modern Star Wars characters or space mongering folks. But um, I love the time you spend with them. And they help train Boba in their ways and kind of adopt him part of the tribe spoiler and
Yes,
uh,
yes.
I dug that. Like it's a really cool view of these specific. I hated how they were treated after that. Just like
Uh,
okay, they're done. Their time is done. But other than that, I
they were
like
just
that.
gonna kill them off, and yeah,
Yeah,
and then like I think when he finally, I think the fight scenes also. I wanted to move into that, but I agree with the Tusken Raiders. That was a very good touch. Like yeah, because we don't even get to expand on them at all in any of the movies. Like you know, it's
they're
and then
just
now
bad.
here
They're the evil. They're the crazy
the
sand
evil,
people.
they're bad
They
people. Yeah,
and they're
and
scavengers. Yeah, that's
right, but
that's
then
what
they but there's so much more to them. Like they have like that whole ritual. They have like their own kind of spirituality and things like that. That's one of the things that I loved about Star Wars recently is like they introduced a lot of like spirituality, spiritual concepts in there. That's something that, by the way, I'm kind of am getting into these days, and so I was very much appreciative of Star Wars, adopting stuff from like a lot of Eastern philosophies, like whether it is Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, whatever it may be,
yeah. The
just
Jedi way.
incorporating that. It was great, yeah, and it's great, and it's really really cool to see that. So, but for me, like you talked about it being a Western, I would say it's more like a mob film set in a Western, setting.
Yeah,
It felt like a mob, kind of like The Sopranos, but if it was like in the Wild Wild West,
yeah.
which is cool. I mean, but at the same time, I don't know if with everything going on, if they're gonna have a season two for Boba Fett. I don't know if that's gonna happen. It could. But before we get into that, let's kind of talk a little bit about. I guess to talk about the last three episodes featuring the Mandalorian.
Yep,
They
yep.
were they were great.
That was
That's like I
awesome.
said, it was great. Mandalorian season 2.5, man, fantastic.
Let's
Yeah, he
see what
actually
happens.
gets kicked out. He gets kicked out of his tribe because he's removed his helmet before. Huh? Yeah.
I was joking about the kicking out, but yeah, go on. I'll
Yeah,
explain.
he got kicked out for removing his helmet, and like as he was trying to like train for the dark saber. By the way, fun fact: the other Mandalorian guy that he fights for the dark
Yeah,
saber, that was portrayed by John Favreau, and that's actually that was pretty cool. Um,
really? That's John
mhm.
Favreau? Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't
it's
know
John
that.
Favreau. Yeah, I mean he's this big husky guy. I mean,
That's huge. Yeah,
yeah. So that was really cool. And then they called him like he's called like an apostate now after that, which was crazy. So and then I think they already started sowing the seeds for season three,
yep.
and basically that fact that he has to go to like the ruins of Mandalore to seek refuge and be let back in to the tribe. And then of course,
Yeah,
obviously he's gonna. And then I loved the fact that they brought back that Naboo starfighter for him.
yeah. That was
It was
awesome.
so cool. Like I had one of those when I was a kid, like a little
Me too.
model thing. It was great. I love that. I love that he did that, and it just I think that really suits him a little bit more than the Razor Crest, in my opinion. Um,
It's a badass
yeah,
starfighter. Yeah.
it is the best, and it got like zero. It barely got any time in the even in the prequels. I think we got it the most in
The
episode
Battle of
one,
Naboo. Yeah.
Battle of Naboo, where Anakin Skywalker, used it, and that was fantastic. But after that, I mean, they moved on to the X wings and Y wings, which are great. Don't get me wrong, but I think that the Naboo Starfighter, man, that has a very special place in my heart for sure. So glad to see it back. And then obviously him and going to see Grogu, and I love that Luke Skywalker made Grogu. They have that Beskar spear which he grinds up into like chainmail for
The
Grogu.
armorer, she
The
forges
armor,
it into chainmail,
yeah.
and because she mentions that it's supposed to be armor and not really weapon based. The
Hmm.
Beskar from his staff, and so
Yeah.
yeah, so he just wants to protect his little foundling, and who doesn't wants to see him
Hmm.
happy. before that though, it, I understand they put such a high emphasis on honor and loyalty and the Mandalorian way, the creed. I do dig that. Like they believe it so strongly. I'm just like, how is she gonna know if you took off your helmet or not? You just don't. You don't have to be honest, or you can just say no. I never took it off. How the hell are they gonna know that?
Yeah,
But they
but
put their honor so strong,
exactly, yeah.
and they don't.
He couldn't
I guess lying is worse than just like saying just being being
removing your
honest and
helmet.
saying
Yeah.
I removed it and being let out. But
Yeah, I actually never thought of
they're not
that.
gonna know. There's no way in hell they're gonna
That is
find out.
true. That
I
is
don't
true.
understand. Just like no, I left it on.
No, right. I agree. I can see that, but I think it also at the same time the whole honor system that also kind of makes a lot of sense too. So I totally see where you come from, and I actually didn't think about that. So
I
that's
I think
interesting.
about that, man, because in our world, lying is it happens all the time anyway, and
Yeah.
um, in in Star Wars, you like I don't know how you can prove that. Like it's not like
Yeah.
they're recording everything in your helmet. If that's the case, fine. Then you're like maybe a stormtroopers in the Empire can record everything they see, possibly. I don't know, but I have
Perhaps.
no idea like why yes, he did break the creed technically by doing that, but he did it to save baby Yoda, Grogu.
Yeah.
But only one person knows, and that guy is whoever Bill Burr's character was in the
Yeah.
rescue. No one else knows, man. Everyone else knows is dead, so you don't have to. But I do respect. I respect a lot. Someone can put their honor so high that they're willing to. They're sacrificing like the they're accepting the consequence of that action instead of just like saying no. You can't
I
prove
never
it. So
did. Yeah.
I never did it, and remaining true to his honor to the creed. So I
Yeah.
do respect that.
And here's the thing, like also it's like this. It's like with the lying, it's like, yeah, you can lie to other people, which you can never lie to
Up
yourself.
to yourself.
And you're gonna lie, you're gonna keep, but that thing is it's gonna like turn into guilt and it's gonna weigh you down so much. So I think it's better that he finally said, okay, yeah, I'll suffer the consequences, but I don't want this guilt to be, inside me all the time. So yes,
Yep.
I did remove my helmet. But yeah, I think it was cool though. Like, so I think Mandalorian season 3, we're gonna
Yep.
see him finally go and visit those temples and then, become officially a Mandalorian once again. And obviously, the little port where R2D2 used to sit in the
Yep.
Naboo fighter
Check
now
it
is
out.
for Grogu, and
For
that's
Grogu.
great. I love that they did that at the
That's
end.
a
So
very when you're seeing that hey, what's this do or whatever, when she's explaining this is how the ship works.
yeah,
Uh and there's not a it used to be where the droid would go to fix your stuff, but now it's like I
yeah,
don't do
yeah,
that. It's kind of a very obvious hint that Grogu's gonna be there and
oh
take that
yeah, yeah,
spot. It's a very good foreshadowing.
yeah,
So now we're getting into the last few episodes of Grogu and everything.
yeah. The
So
battle, that last battle, that was good.
and we'll get to that too. A lot of I don't personally feel like a lot of people feel that. So the fact that they decided to give the choice to this little Jedi that Luke
Mm,
does, like you can follow the Jedi way, and here's Yoda's lightsaber, or you can choose the Mandalorian way, and here's this Mandalorian armor he gave you. And I understand why they chose that because he does have strong actual attachment feelings towards Mando, who saved him, and back and
yeah,
forth. They had this amazing relationship that will be gone forever if he chose the Jedi way, technically, because he
yeah,
had to. Otherwise, you open up yourself to the dark side or what have you.
right,
And
yeah.
that's the whole Anakin Skywalker arc, of course.
Hmm.
And so I love that he gave him a choice. And now a lot of people are like, he could just be both or like not be a total Jedi and be kind of
Right.
a both. I would like, shit, why can't he be a Jedi and a Mandalorian? But
Hmm.
so I thought that was an interesting choice. I respect it. I don't feel like it undermines season 2, where the whole
No, not at
purpose was
all.
to get him to the Jedi to train him in the first place. some people do feel like it takes away from that story. I don't. I think it's a really interesting
Yeah,
story.
yeah, because see, it wasn't Grogu's choice to go; it was Mando's choice to give Grogu up so that he can get trained properly.
Yep,
I mean,
yep,
because
yep.
remember, Grogu is he's still an infant, so he doesn't know. So
A
obviously, that
50-year-old
was
infant.
exactly, yeah. Hey, I mean, that species, that's just the
Yeah.
way they age, you know. They're like turtles almost. Anyway, but no, I think it was really really cool to see Grogu back again. Like I'll tell you this, my family, my parents, they don't care about Star Wars, but then they see Grogu, and then they watch it, you know. And so I was like, oh yeah, 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 Grogu's here. Oh, okay, fine, let's watch. So you know, it's just the appeal of that character has been so amazing and so powerful. Not
The
powerful, but so
most
amazing.
emotional powerful moments I've ever had in all my life watching Star Wars is literally watching Grogu and Mando.
Hmm.
Like, when they were letting go in the end of the season 2, that was the most emotional thing I've ever seen in Star Wars. And then bringing them back together here, and first Mando saying, "Okay, fine, if that's the way, here you go, give him this, and I'll go." And then, if we get into the end episode when they reunite, like, if a person is not emotionally, I can't understand a person that's not emotionally moved by that. Like, that's
Yeah.
incredible. And even if it's someone who has, even if you don't have a kid or something, if you have a pet and an attachment to a pet, it's big time. And that's how it feels, like a pet reuniting after a long time. So that's the most emotional moment I've ever seen in Star Wars.
That was very, yeah, I agree with that. I think they might even show, I think even in season 3, maybe they'll show like the actual scene where Grogu chose the chainmail. There may be a lot. I feel like there's a little bit more to it than just Grogu just going, oh, okay, no, I want this. You know,
I
there's
choose
probably a
this
lot.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, because again, remember, Grogu is still, yeah, he's 50 years old, but he's still an infant. So, you know, he
Thank
doesn't,
you. Thank you again to Favreau. Dude, Grogu is the heart and soul of Star Wars, like, of
yeah,
this
yeah.
whole thing. And if you don't like Grogu, dude, all the kids love him, all the parents love him. Like, if
Hmm.
you're in the 20s and 30s, he's freaking cute. Like, how can you dislike the cutest thing they ever brought in Star Wars?
Yeah,
Like, your
yeah.
heart, you must have no heart to be fair, to not think that thing is
Yeah,
incredible.
I don't think I've
So
seen any like hate for
you,
Grogu, but if there
you
is,
have
I
to
don't know
be
what's wrong with you.
that's
But
because you have to be heartless to do that.
exactly, yeah,
Because
yeah,
he
of
is a
course.
cute little being and like a baby. So only a heartless
Hmm.
person can feel like that. But I digress. Heart and soul of the show, hands down. So happy
Hmm.
to see that.
Yeah, Grogu was fantastic. Now, I will say, like, yeah, it was great when Mando and Grogu reunited. That was like, oh, so
Oh,
cool. It was great. And then, of course, now let's get into that final battle
finale. Yeah,
as we wrap things up. But like that final battle was really good. It was
epic.
fantastic. I think like I will say I appreciate that now Star Wars is actually having like war in the
Yes.
show, because in the other in the original movies there was no, like, I mean, there was technically no like battles there, well, there were, but there was no like,
You mean Tatooine?
yeah, like there was battles, but there was also, it wasn't an emphasis on like war as much as more like now. So
It
yeah.
was just the Empire versus the Rebels, and winning that war again. But in the beginning of Return of Jedi, it was just Luke saving the friends from Jabba, and that's all. It's not really war at all. It's just a fight to save them before they get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
the
exactly.
Empire struggle. But
And it
yeah,
was
this was that was
his own struggles too, like with his father and everything that was there. But now there's actually like actual war going. Like even in like even in the prequels, episode 1, yeah, had a little bit of that war going, but and even a little bit of 2. Well, 2 got a little bit more like diplomatic. It got a little bit more into the
yeah.
political stuff. Then episode 3 had some fighting, some battle, some war in it, but it was more about Anakin's descent into the dark side. That was more what the main crux of the story was. But here there actually is like Boba Fett literally says, "We are preparing for war."
War.
So I am thinking that obviously, yeah, I think the Pike Syndicate, it may be over because they do kill all the Pike Syndicate people in the end, like the
Yeah,
main leaders. But
yeah.
you never know. Maybe the Hutts will come back. Maybe some other tribe will replace the Pike Syndicate. So you never know. I mean, also, oh yeah, and Cobb Vanth returned from
Uh,
the Mandalorian season 2. That was great.
yeah.
But he is. But then, like, yeah, he did get shot by Cad Bane.
I don't want to see him gone. He's such a cool guy, cool
So
character.
and then like I mean I'm skipping ahead a little bit here, but in the towards like the mid credits scene, if you saw that, he is in the Bacta tank that Boba Fett was using, so he might be healing up. And then the person who gave Fennec Shan her like
Mhm.
mechanical stomach, he's also working on him, so he is definitely coming back.
Good.
Is he going to come back in Boba Fett or Mando season 3? That's yet to be seen, but I think that we have not seen the last of Cobb Vanth, and frankly, a lot of people say we haven't seen the last of Cad Bane. So he did get stabbed by the Tusken Raider stick, thanks to Boba Fett, but there's a little light blinking on his chest.
Yeah.
So he could still very much be alive. Now, they could have a whole thing with Cobb Vanth. I would love for Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane to be like the main kind of rivals in the future. But yeah, I
Dude,
think
the Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane like 5 minute little Western
yeah,
style
interaction.
standoff. That was the most like awesome gunslinging Western like scene that
It was
we
good.
haven't seen
It was
since
really
like the
good.
Clint Eastwood movies. It's that is
Mm-hmm.
pure Western, and like your trigger finger, your two outlaws or whatever, and the sheriff in town. That is so cool.
It was
So
great. Yeah.
you're watching a Western in Star Wars right now, and
Excuse me.
that was awesome. Cobb Vanth is a very charismatic guy.
Yeah.
He and the actor who plays him, Timothy,
Timothy
he has
Oliphant.
he has that Western appeal. He
He
has that
does.
swag.
He does.
He's
Yeah,
like perfect.
he's got that. He's got that silver fox look going for him, so it makes
Yeah,
perfect sense for him to
yeah,
be like a sheriff. I like that.
yeah, yeah.
He did a good job, man. I loved him. I loved him using the Boba Fett armor in the beginning, season 2, and then obviously giving it to Mando. Like, I mean, I know they talked about how he found the armor, but I would love to like see visually how they would. I mean, they can expand so much on different things. That's the cool thing about this new
Yep.
universe. I think that's the future of Star Wars now, is more so doing like shows like this or animated series. I don't particularly foresee any movies coming out, like actual films. Maybe, I mean, like I mean, there was rumors of a new trilogy, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But I think the future of Star Wars is, Disney Plus is the whole. Its new home is on Disney Plus and all the shows that are coming out. But yeah,
And
I think.
speaking on that, real quick, it's kind of like
Mhm.
you could say a bold statement to an extent, but personally speaking, Mandalorian 1 and 2 and Boba Fett shows are overall way better than the entire sequel trilogy with
Oh yeah,
Rey
yeah.
and them. Like the entire trilogy is lesser to this one.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, but that is true.
It's true.
Um,
And Star
yeah.
Wars is really tough. It's really hard to make, but it comes down to who you're working with. And Favreau
Hmm.
and Filoni, like they understand it so well from the original movies, and they understand it, the story really well. And
Yeah.
they put a lot of care and time into it. And it the I don't, little tangent, but the sequel trilogies, they wanted to recapture the magic and make a lot of creative, like take risks creatively, like Ryan in Last Jedi or
That's
what
the
have
only
you.
one that really took risks, to be honest with you. If I'm being like 100%
What?
honest, I said that was the one movie that took a little bit more of a risque
Very risk. Yeah,
route.
yeah, yeah.
I think like because with with J.J. Abrams, he literally was just like, okay, look, okay, they did this in the New Hope, just copy and paste, and then because episode what 7, no, episode 8, I guess,
Last
Last
Jedi.
Jedi was directed by Ryan Johnson, and then they brought back J.J. They're like, oh, oh, they had nothing on The Empire Strikes Back, so we have to add something. Oh, yeah, make Rey Palpatine's granddaughter. There you go. And then
Oh
Return
yeah.
of the Jedi type shit, whatever. Oh yeah, kill Ben Solo. And yeah, it definitely
Yep.
felt anticlimactic. It really did. Um,
And we digress there.
but yeah.
But it's really tough to do. It's really hard because
Mhm.
there's so much expectation from the fandom, and it's such a big portion of the population.
It
But
is.
the good news is the show. You I agree. You need time to let these characters,
Get flushed
grow,
out.
grow fleshed out storyline, and you're connecting it into the original storyline,
Mhm.
and you don't have to do too much. Like there's so much source material. All the idea is place these characters within them and then make their own storyline that connects to the original, and they did an excellent job.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree with that. So, but no, I think like overall, Book of Boba Fett was it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was like in my opinion. I thought it could have been a little better, but whatever we
I
got,
loved it.
it was good. It was definitely decent. Like for me, I think like yeah, I get what you mean about the slow paced, moving scenes. Like again, I think it would have been fine for the first episode, but like I felt like the next three episodes just kept moving at that pace. And I'm like, okay, can we can pick it up just a little bit, you know? But then when the
Oh, it
Mandalorian
went
came in,
as soon as Mandalorian came
it
through,
just went
it 0 to
0 to 60,
100. So
0 to 100.
um,
Hold me real
it's
quick. Yeah.
and all other reviewers said
Drake
the same.
reference. Sorry.
Other reviewers said the same thing, that it's very slow and it's fine. You see all this Tatooine stories, and you see the
Mhm.
political squabbles and the conflict between the Boba Fett's group crew plus and then the syndicates.
Gotra.
They're
Yeah.
just vying for power. It's just that
Yeah.
it's kind of like a Game of Thrones deal with in Star
Right.
Wars.
So
And
they're called.
we didn't
Yeah.
touch on the other like secondary third characters. Those the group of Power Ranger kids, the
Oh
bikes.
yeah,
I'm
those
like,
guys.
that's probably I think we can agree they probably are the least interesting of
Yeah,
all of them.
they didn't need to be there. They didn't
They
need to
didn't
be there
really
at
need
all.
to, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're gonna have like something bigger role in future Star Wars, shows or even movies if they decide to make them.
Yeah.
I don't see what they contributed. Like,
I
yeah, they
mean,
look cool. Like, I
no big
get it.
deal.
I mean, like they had like they have augments. Oh, Boba Fett has given into this guy who gave Fennec Shand augments. There's the connection. Okay, whatever. But
And
yeah, I think
I agree with what other people said, that their looks, their design, their fashion, it doesn't feel too Star Warsy. It
no, it
feels
doesn't.
like they took to our real world fashion and just tweaked it to throw them in the Star Wars. But it looks like
Yeah,
people from here.
it's just like I mean, it that definitely gave us more like a cyberpunk kind of a feel,
That's a good
which is
one.
weird. Which is weird because as much as Star Wars is like in the future, whatever, and there are people with like robotic augments, they don't really focus on those things, and like there's not the aesthetic never felt like cyberpunkish until with these guys. So in my opinion, they are a little bit out of place. But like I said,
Yeah,
if they have a bigger role in upcoming Star Wars, media, we'll see. So that's there, and then I mean, I definitely liked, the mayor was interesting. He was voiced by Robert Rodriguez actually, and that was cool. Um,
uh, cool.
and that was interesting. He acts like this super chill dude, but he's actually like really bad. And I loved. I mean, and then he got strangled to death in the end. I was like, whoa, all right,
That
that's
was
a lot of
yeah,
spite for this man.
that reminds me, like they these the shows have been a bit more dark than the other previous movies and stuff, and
Mhm.
I'm just curious how far Disney will go with their violence on the show, because um true, you could say the original trilogy, where when they threw the Luke and the fighters in the Rancor pit, who was also in
Yeah.
the show. and
Mhm.
the Rancor would just eat him alive, and that is very violent. But
It is.
that's like cartoonish violence. It's not like strangling a dude or murdering a bunch of people like that. That is like more realistic violence. So I'm just like, that's a little bit dark for Star Wars,
It
but
is. It
but
is.
I can see that maybe they want to be more serious or whatever. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
plus, I mean, Boba Fett is, he. I guess just because, the character, maybe he wouldn't do too many like, too many comical hijinks like Tom and Jerry style violence. You can't do that for him. You have to amp it up just a little bit. So, I mean,
yeah,
they didn't necessarily show like heads rolling and shit like that, but I think they didn't need to. It was just kind of implied. But yeah, and I think finally though, I would say like Mandalorian season 3, I'm very excited for.
me
It
too.
should be really good. Um, Boba Fett season 2, I don't know if what they're gonna do if it ever happens. I just do hope that they take some of the mistakes they made here and then it just improve them. That's all I can ask. So
Yeah,
hopefully, if Book of Boba Fett season 2 is coming, or yeah, season 2, they do make it a little bit of a better kind of a show. Also, I guess a little small thing, I loved like the titles when the Mandalorian first was introduced. They blended the Boba Fett theme with the Mandalorian theme. It
ah,
was really cool, and it was by the same. The composer is the same, Ludwig Göransson, and
yeah,
he did a great job. I think he did this one. He did
excellent.
Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. He did Tenet, which the
Yep.
soundtrack was really good for that. Um, so I think he did a great job blending those two themes. So yeah, at the end of the day, overall for me, I think Mando, yeah, Mando season 2.5. No, Book of Boba Fett season 1 was definitely. It was good to see Boba back. It was good to have that introduction again to Boba Fett, reintroduction to Boba Fett. Could have been a little bit more fast paced. That's the main gripe that I had with the show. But otherwise, I thought it was a decent show. It did a
Yep.
good job. It did what it was supposed to do. Obviously, it was good to see a lot of our favorite characters back. But as far as a rating, I am giving it the bar, which is my kind of middle of the road rating because of that. So,
Ah,
yeah, go ahead, Mosh. Final
yeah.
thoughts.
I think that it's a great continuation of Mandalorian show. And it's so in tune with that. You have to have seen the first two Mandalorian seasons.
Hmm?
But I think it's a good show. It's not better than Mandalorian 1 and 2.
No, not at
Um,
all.
and arguably it becomes more of a Mandalorian show in the middle of this season of Boba Fett. So if the criteria is only about just the character of Boba Fett and his journey, then yeah, it's a little bit weak, correct, and it's slow pace, and it's it takes a while to get used to, or it could have been done better. But as soon as they bring the Mandalorian entire show arc into this, then it changes entirely into
Mhm.
Mandalorian, kind of a Mandalorian focused show, which me and most fans are okay with, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm agree
Um,
with it. Yeah,
and I like it, but if you accept the fact that it's both of them, it's not just Boba Fett, it's both of them and their
yeah.
story arcs, and then they move forward from there, then it becomes a better show. And from that, I rank it like a 3 out of 5.
Okay, so that's also like kind of almost middle of the road for you. But with that being said, okay, that's pretty much going to sum it up for today. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you, Mosh, for joining me. We'll definitely do this again sometime. But do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Follow Mosh on his social media. I'll put all his links in the description. But definitely, let us know in the comments. What do you guys think about the Book of Boba Fett if you've watched it? And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your team support. We love each and every one of you. And this is Sid and Mosh for signing off. You guys take care. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.